Xbox just wrapped up their big 2024 showcase, and overall it was honestly fantastic. As far as just a showcase itself goes, the pacing, the announcements, everything we got to see, it was a very strong showing, and probably, at least out of everything we've seen so far during this 2024 summer, between this, the SGF showcase, and the PlayStation State of Play, I would say the strongest out of that whole lot. Though it does also leave me with a few questions still. So I just want to focus on some of the main highlight stuff that really stood out to me that got me excited, but then also frame, what we learned from it and how that paints the rest of this year going into 2025. Their big hard open was the official reveal of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, which, look, I'm not the biggest Call of Duty person, so I'm not going to focus too much on this, but, they introduced the basic idea of it, showing it. I will say, with the limited time I've spent with Call of Duty, the Treyarch ones have always been a little bit more my vibe, so I am a little curious about it. And then, of course, they had the longer showcase at the end, going more in depth on it. The big reveal right after that, though, was something that's been kind of a known leak rumor for a little while now, but actually seeing it is something else. Doom: The Dark Ages. This is a brand new Doom game that looks like it's meant to be a prequel to the current main line of Doom titles with Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, but as the name implies, a little bit more of an older style to it. They add a bit more medieval vibes to the whole thing, even though you're still using guns, like, of course, the main shotgun. I can't explain this, but something about the combination in games like this, where you have a gun and a shield, does something to my brain. That was the thing in Far Cry 6 that I really enjoyed. It was a special weapon you could use where you had just a big old handgun and a shield, and just the idea of seeing that in this new Doom game where you have this spiked shield that you can also throw as a weapon, block attacks with, and have your weapons in the other hand as well, it just seems so freaking cool to me. And for me, made for the really strong opening of this showcase. But that was not the only good thing we saw. There were so many either reveals of brand new things or, finally seeing bits of gameplay for some titles that we've known about that are all shaping up very nicely as far as these trailers show. We got a look at the upcoming DLC for Starfield called Shattered Space. We finally got to see a bit of gameplay for South of Midnight, which I'm absolutely in love with the art style for. Indiana Jones and Avowed both got new trailers that showed us a bit more, but I think, those ones they didn't necessarily gloss over, but didn't focus on as much because we did get a developer direct with those earlier this year, so they were just there to kind of give us reminders of, hey, these games are coming out and they are slated for 2024, though we still don't have an exact release date for either of those, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I think one of the biggest pleasant surprises as far as finally getting an update on a previously announced game, Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark is something that Xbox announced, years ago, and we've known that it's been having some trouble behind the scenes as far as just, restarting development and such. And so we didn't have a great idea of where this game actually was development-wise, and so actually getting to see some gameplay today with a fairly lengthy trailer that looked very good is a great sign. Though it's worth noting that while we did get this update, currently we don't really know any information yet as far as when it's planned for. Whereas a lot of titles got, either a specific release date or a general window of sometime in 24 or sometime in 25, Perfect Dark was just kind of left at, yeah, it's coming, eventually. It'll be on Game Pass. In a similar vein, one other trailer we got that I have slightly mixed feelings on is Fable. I am very excited for Fable in general. I love the older games, and I'm very curious to see how Playground Games, handles approaching taking over this IP. And the new trailer we got, while fun and, showed a little bit more than last year, I'm actually not sure what it really told us beyond what last year's trailer did. I mean, functionally, it was very similar in structure and gave a lot of the same general pitch. We saw very brief glimpses of what might have been actual gameplay mixed in with all the cinematics, but it was all very quick. And so it did give us this general release date of sometime in 25, but I would love to learn more about what this next Fable game is shaping out to be, because again, visually looks wonderful. I'm digging the humor, I'm liking the vibe. I just want more of an actual idea of how this game is going to look, feel, and play. We also got a longer look at Stalker 2, which of the games we got to see was one of the few that actually did have a locked-in release date for later this year on September 5th. And then their big one more thing moment at the very end was the reveal of a brand new Gears of War, which is not Gears of War 6 as a lot of people were theorizing and assuming, but is instead, similar to Doom, a prequel called Gears of War E-Day, starring our original main two leads from the first game, Marcus and Dom, and taking place at a time where there is still some degree of civilization and things don't look quite as full post-apocalyptic just yet as they're dealing with the locusts emerging. Given this was a pure CG, just kind of hype trailer introducing the concept, so we haven't seen what actual gameplay looks like just yet. But also this is another one where we don't know quite when it's going to come out yet, because this was really just the initial big reveal, and the rest of the showcase was trying to highlight everything coming out in 24 and 25. Now with that in mind, as far as the game reveals go, again, I think structurally this was a fantastic showcase. Everything we got to see looked great. Yes, we had some trailers that were pure CG, but we also had a great mix of some that actually showed some gameplay. There were a couple brand new reveals, not only from Xbox directly, but also some third-party stuff that stood out to me. Personally, I think actually my biggest pleasant surprise was something being produced by Kepler Interactive called Expedition 33. I'm a big fan of RPGs, and this has a very interesting looking newer take on classic turn-based party RPG mechanics, but doing a bit of its own spin with visuals that at least lately we don't see as many games really try to do within that genre. So that grabbed my attention and I'm very excited for. But while we got a lot of cool looking announcements and stuff and the pacing was great, I am kind of surprised how many games still don't actually have specific dates. You know, again, we got one for Stalker 2, but both Indiana Jones and Avowed are for this year and just said coming in 24. Same applies to Starfield Shattered Space DLC. And beyond those, the vast majority of stuff we really saw was actually giving us release dates of sometime in 25. And this follows up a little bit of what I talked about last year with Xbox's showcase, where I thought that was also a very good showcase. I think this year even tops that one. But one of the feelings I also walked away with was the showcase was great. Now I really want to see how this all actually plays out over the next year, because I think Xbox has done a very good job of dialing in having some strong feeling showcases, but it doesn't always fully reflect, you know, how the next year is going to go in terms of things meeting release dates, how often we're going to be seeing these releases come out. And so I do understand the hesitancy on giving dates for things like games coming out in 24, as well as not dating anything in 25. But with how the industry has been going right now, I feel like I really want some sense of consistency as far as when things are actually going to be dropping to play, and actually seeing how this all ends up. So love the showcase itself. I'm just very curious to see the reality of it over the next year. A few other announcements and updates worth noting. We did get the official announcement of State of Decay 3. We got the official announcement of the next Diablo 4 expansion, also purely a CG trailer, though as always, Blizzard Cinematics completely knocked it out of the park with, honestly, I think one of the most disturbing trailers they've ever done. We got a new trailer for Elder Scrolls Online's next expansion, Golden Road, along with the announcement of new content for Fallout 76, including playable ghouls, which has been something in demand for quite some time. We also finally got an actual big reveal trailer for the next Dragon Age game after so many delays and things that title has been through, now called Dragon Age the Veilguard. We actually already know that there's going to be a gameplay-focused trailer for that launching later. I believe it's this coming Tuesday. So this trailer was purely just introducing the companions and setting the tone. It's one of those things where, you know, I'm excited to see the game get fully revealed, but especially everything it's been through, I'm much more anticipating the gameplay trailer coming in a few days. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, the remake of MGS3, also made an appearance. The most gameplay we've actually seen from it, and I will say, while there's a part of me that still feels very mixed about this even happening in the first place, not gonna lie, it does look very shiny. Although this was also one of the announcements where, you know, we saw the stuff and then it ended with, yep, that's the game, it's coming sometime. So we just still have no idea when that one's actually releasing, but we did get to see a lot more of it in action. Now, aside from all the game news, there was a little bit of hardware news, but it wasn't exactly a major groundbreaking announcement, basically akin to last year's reveal of the higher storage Series S, where we're getting a new main lineup of Xbox systems. We still have the Series S, but now there are two new options of the Series X. An all-digital white model, which is what a lot of people were suspecting, and then something that I personally didn't see any chatter about beforehand, the reveal of a 2 terabyte special edition version of the Series X that had this kind of glittering effect on the main body. Which more storage is always nice. The one kind of weird thing with this reveal, though, is that while those were announced as being, you know, new versions of the systems available later this year, pricing, availability, and all that kind of stuff is currently up in the air. We didn't get actual specific release dates, we also didn't get pricing, and with the changes of introducing an all-digital version of the Series X, as well as a higher storage option of the Series X, I'm very curious where that sits price-wise in the lineup. Are they adjusting the overall lineup prices? Are some of these replacing some of the current models? Is the all-digital going to be $100 cheaper, $50 cheaper? We just don't know yet, because they didn't have that information just yet. So, interesting to see that new lineup update, but as of right now, at least, I don't fully know how to feel about it, just because I think pricing plays a very important role with this kind of smaller refresh. And so now, sitting here after seeing this showcase and having a little bit more time to digest it, I really am walking away with a very strong feeling like last year, but to an even greater extent of, wow, this was a great showcase. I am excited for the potential in future for a lot of these games, but now I just need to see the actual follow through. So those are my thoughts on Xbox's showcase. Let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought. Did you enjoy it? Was there stuff you got excited about? Were there any pleasant surprises? Were you not as wowed about it? Let me know down below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit the thumbs up button to let me know. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you guys later.